Yo, 95% Rookie here, and coming at you today with something a little different for the channel. I mean, as you can see in the video title and everything, it's going to be a tier list for the Arma 3 DLC. And I guess my idea is I'll kind of go through, for each one, I'll kind of give some comments on what I thought of it, things as far as the ranking goes. Um, and then yeah, probably lighter editing. We'll see what the final product looks like. Maybe I'll like edit in some footage of them or not, depending on how it goes. But if not, it'll be basically just my thoughts on all the DLC. Essentially, it's kind of an excuse just to talk about them all. I'll probably do more in the future. Like if let me know if you like this video, I'll probably do more. Like I was thinking I might do just the Arma series in general, like all the games and DLCs. But for now, I'll just start with Arma 3 and see how it goes. I'm not sure how long this will be, depending on each uh thing. So I guess obviously this is for DLC, so vanilla Arma 3 isn't included here. So I mean, I really like Arma 3 as a whole package anyways, so but for now, I guess I won't bother commenting on it. I'll probably talk about it more if we do like a proper tier list for the whole series. But for now, we'll start with the first actually should I get the release order? Let me actually look that up. Okay, so I have the release order for the DLC. So I'll start with is it actually here? I guess. Well, the thing is with Arma 3, these are all on this list. These are all the paid DLC. There were free DLC. Like the first one on this is Arma 3 Zeus, which was technically a DLC slash expansion, but it was basically just an update. Like you didn't have to pay for it. It's included in Arma 3, so we won't do that. Arma 3 soundtrack, same thing. DLC bundle 1. So this, I guess, seems it makes sense. Yeah, I think the first one was the Carts DLC. Um, Carts DLC. I mean, I'm gonna be ranking these basically as far as how much I enjoyed them, how much I think they added. Maybe pricing will come into it. Amount of content and stuff. So I think for Carts DLC, I think I gotta give it. The thing is, it was it's basically a meme, right? It was an April Fool's joke. They turned it into a proper DLC. And the proceeds, I believe all the proceeds went to charity, which is good. I don't have a necessarily a problem with it, but obviously I can't like put it very high because it's like it's like I feel kind of bad. Like here, let me just say this. I don't think any of these DLC are so bad that they're like terrible or even like not worth owning. But I think I'm gonna put Carts in D just because I mean it's basically a meme. Like I've ridden the go karts before. They're okay. It's like it's a funny like joke and everything, but let's be real. It's nowhere near the tier of like any of these other DLC, even like the worst creator DLC or whatever. So we'll just get that in D tier out of the way. I really like Bohemia's their humanitarian aspect that when they donate stuff to charity and stuff. So that's definitely cool. It gets an honorable mention for that. But let's be real. It's not really, it's not really deserving of a place at the table. Um, Cool concept though. Okay, now helicopters DLC. Helicopters. I have kind of mixed feelings on this. So I believe it also added a more advanced flight model, and it just improvements to helicopters in general, like sling loading, I believe, things like that. So the package is this is one of those DLC like the jets and stuff where it really adds a lot of platform updates that assist other mods and other like features in the game beyond the raw content added because it comes with a platform update. And so when you're paying for the DLC, all you're really getting is the helicopters that come with it. So really, that's what I'll judge it on. I'm not going to judge it on like the platform update it added, because all that stuff was good. But the DLC itself, when you pay for it, you get these helicopters. I'm gonna put it. I might put it in D, being real, because some of the DLC or some of the helicopters are cool. Like I believe, so if I remember correctly, we got the Taru or whatever, like the weird like sling load. It's like a cargo helicopter. It has a bunch of modules. I think it's cool. It's a little wacky. Like I know it's based on a real helicopter, which is fine. It's like, but it's like, and I've used it before. I like it, but it's like, however much this DLC was probably, I don't know how much. Really, I don't really remember. Maybe like $10, maybe $15, $20. I think you don't really get all that much. And apart from that, helicopters, I think it added the Chinook, the like NATO Chinook, which is like a stealth Chinook, which is kind of I'm honestly not a huge fan of the like stealth helicopters in the Arma 3 verse. Like aesthetically, they look a little silly. It's a little cool, but at least they added like a Chinook type helicopter. You know, I like Chinooks, like the dual rotors are cool. Leave in the comments if I'm missing anything out. I'm pretty sure it was just those two. Maybe there was like one other helicopter. Like, was there a AAF helicopter that was added? Can't quite remember. I don't think so. But yeah, like it was okay. It was an okay DLC. D tier because it's not terrible, but as far as like I got to put some of these in the lower ranks. Um, Next up, Marksman DLC. Where is that? Is that here? Marksman. I think whoever made. Oh, no, here, Marksman. Okay, Marksman. Okay, Marksman. I think. This is also another one that these like that Marksman tanks and jets and helicopters. I mean, they add some stuff. Like I've definitely used some of the weapons in Marksman DLC. I'm a big fan of like those heavy ass like MGs that are in the game. The 338 Lapua or a Norma Magnum MGs. Like I really like having those like big caliber machine guns. Add some like I will somewhat account for like features added because like even though you're not paying for it, it was part of the DLC. So I'll somewhat account for that in the scoring. Oh shit, I just got a notification. Ignore that. Um so the Marksman DLC was okay. Like some of the weapons were cool. The platform update was all right. Like we added like weapon handling stuff, so you could like mount your weapon, mounting bipods. I think it also added the attachment system, so I'll give it some props for that. Like I said, didn't want to account for like everything in the platform update, but it will affect the final score somewhat. For that reason, I feel like Marksman. I don't know. I feel like it goes above C because I think it just added more stuff in general, and the weapons you're going to be using them a lot more. I don't know. C. I guess I may adjust these as we go later on. I think I'm going to put this in C, but we'll see what comes out. Like I think it goes above helicopters, because there's less gimmick involved, right? Like the stuff in this is more usable generally, but it also maybe get some points marked because this is the thing with the Marksman DLCs, right? You add a Marksman weapon, and it's like you're way more likely to run into issues with players not having the DLC than with the helicopters DLC because you're gonna get those like DLC warnings for the weapon. So it's hard to use them. And now at this point, I feel like everyone probably has the Marksman DLC, so it's not as much of an issue as it was, but definitely has been an issue in the past. But I like some of the weapons in Marksman. I'd say C is fair. More better than helicopters, but still kind of low tier, right? Um, okay, next is maps. So these are just like mini things. Arma carts, Marksman, Arma 3 Apex. Okay, that was next. So Apex. I kind of have complex feelings on Apex. I don't know how popular that is, but Tanoa is a pretty cool terrain. It adds quite a lot of cool stuff. Um, but I haven't really, I don't know, I haven't really used it all that much, honestly. Like, I don't use it too much in my multiplayer campaigns. I've tried to get Apex campaigns going because, like, at this point, most people have Apex. But it's kind of like as a Pacific terrain, it's pretty good. Like a lot of island hopping stuff, a lot of the ocean is good. Like it's a well-made terrain for sure, and it runs pretty well for a jungle terrain. And like as a jungle terrain, like the jungles feel like jungles. Like they did a really good job on the terrain. But I don't know. I feel like B tier is probably fair for it because the thing is about with Apex, it's like an expansion, like almost like it's supposed to be kind of like I'd say compared to like Operation Arrowhead, where it is an expansion, adds like a co-op DLC or a co-op campaign, and honestly, it's probably not super fair rating this because I haven't played that co-op DLC. I've always planned to do like a playthrough of it on my channel with like some friends in co-op. I've heard it's okay. I've heard it's not amazing, but it's a decent Arma experience. So I think I'm gonna put it in B tier because it's definitely it has a lot more substance than these other things. But personally, in my experience, it's like it's not great. As an expansion, I feel like it's lacking. Like he definitely adds other content. Like it adds, the Pacific CSAP, Pacific NATO, Syndicate. So it adds like a bunch of weapons and stuff. But like overall, it's a little whelming, I would say. Like it's not bad. It's just like it's not great. So I think B tier probably fine for that. Um so next up will be the next DLC bundle. So we have Arma 3 Jets. So Jets, I'm not a huge jet player in Arma. I'm not a huge aviation guy. Like I've definitely played around with them, but not too much. It adds some cool stuff. I think this is going to be a C tier one because it adds some cool planes. It adds like stealth F-18 or something. I forget if exactly I like I said, I don't play jets all that much, but definitely added a lot of features that were really good for jets and other things like the pylon system and stuff. Um, so I'd say jets is definitely a C. It's deserving above the D tier. Maybe B tier if I was a jet player. But I'd say C is fair enough. Because it adds some jets which are cool, and overall adds like more aspects to jets which were I think I'd say jets were more lacking than helicopters. That's why it goes above. Like the fact that we got more jets was way more of a boon to the Arma content than like two helicopters or however many we got in the helicopters DLC. So I'd say jets C tier is fair. It's not great, but it's definitely not like bottom of the barrel. Arma 3 Malden, so that was free. Won't count that. Um, Arma 3 Laws of War, and this is going to go into S tier. I think if you know my content, you know my opinions on Arma, you're probably not going to be super surprised by that. Laws of War is fucking amazing. Maybe I think it's up there. Some of the DLC are really good, but I think it's up there with other ones. But I think it's probably is my favorite DLC. My favorite single player experience in Arma overall for like a lot of reasons. So putting content aside, like some of the content is good. Like the mine sweeping stuff, the humanitarian aspect stuff, the IDAP adding a whole like humanitarian faction is cool. I think the my favorite aspect of Laws of War, apart from the actual campaign, which is very good, is just the and also the charity aspect. Which there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of aspects to Lost War. Okay, the charity stuff is really good. I love the humanitarian aspect. Okay, so it's Bohemia is going into a realm of warfare that is not often talked about beyond memeing like um, war crime shit and stuff. It's like I feel like this is like it's so educational as far as like yes, obviously laws of war are not going to be followed all the time in real life, and it's a video game. You can't like I'm not gonna like get super bothered about joking about war crimes and stuff in a video game. But I just think a game like Arma 3, if any game's going to take this stuff seriously, I feel like Arma 3 is the one that should. Like I really love the exploration of like some of it's a little silly at times, like the war crime of stealing vehicles to make a barricade. Like that, oh, you stole vehicles to war crime. That's a little silly. Like there are some things in the laws of war that are definitely maybe like a little nitpicky compared to like actual war crimes, but um, treating the laws of war like with respect, um, teaming up with the Red Cross, which however you feel about the Red Cross, I think they're a good organization. I think overall the message and the execution was great in Laws of War as far as portraying the laws of armed conflict as a overall like an important thing that should be treated with respect and educating people on them. And beyond that, if you're just taking the humanitarian aspect out, it was just a great expansion as far as the lore of Arma 3. The Laws of War DLC probably is what made me a big fan of the Arma 3 vanilla like 2035 timeline stuff. It expands it like so much, adds characters, it adds like the voice acting in the campaign is so fucking good. Like the idea of like there is combat, but most of it is just walking around, seeing stories, seeing the past, like the scripting stuff they did with the campaign, where you're looking into the past of what like this destroyed town once was. It's so thematic. It's so like the soundtrack is good. The everything, dude. Laws of War, S tier. I think you can't really argue that. Maybe if you're not a single player guy, you'd have a lower. But for me, like yeah, Laws of War is fucking great. That's about as much as I can say on it. Um, and then okay, next up. So Tack Ops. Tack Ops. I know a lot of people don't really like Tack Ops. Personally, I think this is going to be a C tier. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Here's why. I actually quite enjoyed my playthroughs of the Tac Ops single player things. Now, it doesn't add much. It's like a few scenarios, but there are aspects to these scenarios that are replayable. Like there are things you can do differently. They're somewhat difficult. They have some complexity, and the overall, it's kind of like up there as far as like mission scripting. Like a lot of the scripting is good. A lot of the uh like there's still bugs and stuff, but overall quite well designed missions. And they have things like they have the like the briefings. It also expands Arma 3 lore, which is another thing I'm a fan of. So I think B tier is fair because although it's not amazing, it's like just single player missions. The single player missions, they have multiple phases. They have good storytelling. They have good planning and stuff. As far as realism, maybe not the most realistic, but within the Arma 3 framework, they're pretty damn good missions. And you get three of them. I think three, and yeah, they're pretty good. I'd say Tac Ops is like it's not amazing. Um, like compared to Apex, I put on the same tier just because I honestly enjoyed Tac Ops probably more than Apex, if I'm being real. But I'd say it's not really fair content wise to compare them. But you know, it was Tac Ops was good. I know a lot of people don't like them, but yeah, that's my opinion on it. Next up, Armor 3 tanks. Tanks. This might be another B tier. I say B tier is fair for tanks just because the tanks the ads are good. The platform update was good. I'm actually considering C tier. Like I have gotten a lot of use out of the tanks added in the tanks DLC. Like they're I think they're a better fit than like they're better everyday uses than even the marksman stuff or the jets or the helicopters. Like the tanks are usable in a lot of scenarios if you're playing Arma 3 vanilla. If you're not into Arma 3 vanilla, probably not worth it. But what puts it up to B tier beside the tanks, which are also pretty good, is the campaign. So it gives you campaign. I think there's three missions maybe, and the campaign is good. It has multiple like you can do things differently, which will have there's multiple endings, which is cool. It's like a mini campaign essentially, and it's a pretty well made campaign, and it expands Armor 3, the AF, adds that expands the 2035 timeline basically. So that's big fan in my book. And so yeah, I'd say tanks is good. I'd say it's worth playing even today. It's a good campaign and everything. Tanks themselves, they're pretty good, but maybe like not super useful. Like the AAF ones they added, like the mini tankettes, are pretty cool. I'll say that. Next up, Armor 3 Contact. I think Contact has to also go in S rank. Like, I think there's no way about it. Like, I'd say it's not as good as Laws of War, in my opinion, as far as like storytelling stuff like that. But I think it's like undeniably, technically, like probably the peak of complexity in the Arma 3 single player slash like scripting thing. And it kind of it runs like it too, right? It doesn't have the best performance, but like the amount of stuff they managed to pack into Contact is and it's just such a cool idea. Okay, when it was first announced, like the fact that it was aliens, I thought that was such a cool like idea. It's like it's a little wacky, obviously, but like how do we tell like a first contact story in a somewhat realistic like military aspect? I think they nailed that. Certain things are a little wacky, but overall, and like the gameplay is good. The story is pretty good, and adds. I mean, doesn't really add all that much. Like the map is good, but I've never really played multiplayer in it because no one really has contact unless you're like planning to play it in single player, which not everyone is into. But yeah, Livonia is cool. Livonia Defense Force is cool. Adds a ton of content actually. I'd say Contact is definitely way better than Apex. Like yeah, it's damn good. I've replayed it multiple times. Yeah, it's a great DLC. Definitely belonging in S tier, although I prefer Laws of War over it. Um Next up, yeah, this was paid. Oh wait, is it actually here? Okay, Art of War is not here. I think you could buy it. I think maybe you couldn't. Maybe it was free, but if Art of War was here, it'd probably be in like C or D tier. Like it was cool. I like the artwork contest and the stuff it added. But it was kind of like a gimmick DLC. You know, it's like not great. Maybe I think maybe you could buy it to get to donate to charity or something. I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't even paid. I'm not sure. But then we're moving on to the C DLC, the Creator DLC, which I'm a big fan of the overall Creator DLC program. Um, yeah, so I guess we'll kind of go through these. Release order. Let me see. So Iron Curtain was the first one. Oh no, was it? Was Iron Curtain? No, no. These are. This isn't in order. I'll just do the order I remember. So global mobilization rather was first. It's pretty good. I haven't gotten much use out of it, honestly. I like the idea. Cold War. I'm a big fan of that. I love Cold War stuff. I love the East German, West German stuff. I love like it's overall the content is really good. Price point may be too high. I know that they're giving you a lot, and the terrain is good and everything. I haven't gotten a lot of use out of it. I feel bad putting it in like C tier, but like okay, here's the thing. I'm putting it in C tier, just because I haven't gotten any use out of it. I feel like it's somewhat missable. And I know people are gonna hate me for some of the stuff I rank after this, but C tier, it's like I feel like it has such a niche um that not so and if this was what $10, maybe it goes on sale for $10 now. Maybe I can push my group to play it. I'm gonna put it in C tier. This could very well change if I were to play it more. You know what? For that fact, I'm gonna put it in B tier because I know some people do like it, and personally, I don't have much experience with it, but gives you a ton of content. The first Creator DLC, so there were kinks to work out as far as pricing and stuff. I don't think it's fair to rank it based on how I never really used it, but the campaign itself is kind of shitty, to be honest. But B tier, I think it's fair. We need some A tier stuff. Maybe switching these around. But anyways, next up is what was it? SOG Prairie Fire after full mobilization, or was it? Maybe it was SOG Prairie Fire. Um, yeah, I'll put SOG Prairie Fire. I think SOG undoubtedly in the S tier. Well, another great DLC and just like a huge amount of content. Huge amount of content. Huge like the campaign is good. I've played the campaign with friends. Like the multiplayer, came with multiplayer scenarios that people actually played, like the Mike Force and stuff. Like, damn, SOG is like a titan as far as DLC and creator DLC goes. I can't even really say that much more on it, but yeah, SOG's deserving an S tier, undoubtedly. What was after that? Was Iron Curtain? Okay, Iron Curtain. I think I'm putting Iron Curtain in D tier. Um, I think I don't even know if I own it. I might own it. I've heard it had some controversy at the start. Um, no shade to it. You know, if I played it, maybe I would like it, but I know not many people are a huge fan of it. I'm gonna put it in D tier just because it's kind of a forgotten DLC. Yeah, I think D is fair. Um, yeah. Western Sahara. I'm gonna put that in A tier. I really like it. I love the 2035 setting expansion. The campaign is good. The map, it's like a very tight DLC. Not too much content, but what's there is pretty good, and it fills out what it's aiming to do very nicely. Like it's a good little DLC. Pricing was like amazing. I think it was like $10 for what you get. That's a steal. And I've played multiplayer missions with it pretty often because it's so cheap that it's easy to get people to get. So A tier, I would put it in S tier, but it's definitely not on the tier of these other ones. That's why I put it in A tier. Um, now the other one, now these next three, definitely kind of fell off Arma 3 a little bit around when most of these were coming out. So I haven't. I feel like I can't really rate them all that well. Reaction Force, I'll rate them how I think. Like this is definitely not like a definitive objective list. So Reaction Forces, made by the Western Sahara guys, adds some cool stuff. I love the helmet covers and stuff. I'm gonna put this in D tier, I think, because it's like it adds some stuff. Really not an amazing expansion as far as you can see, but it's like it's cheap, so it's like it has that, but it's not like compared to Western Sahara. I feel like it's definitely a little lacking. But you know, I haven't played it all that much, so it's not really super fair for me to rank it. So take that with a huge grain of salt. Spirit 1944. I was gifted this. Shout out Morcello for for gifting this to me, but uh, I have not played it yet at all. I haven't tested it at all. I love World War II, but I haven't played it yet. I want to eventually get to it. I'm just gonna put it in. I feel like it probably should. I know people have some issues with it. Doesn't have the most amount of content, but I'm gonna put it in A tier because it seems to be pretty well made. It has some cool, has a cool campaign and stuff. I think it goes above these other ones. Maybe global mobilization. Maybe on par with global. I can't really say that global mobilization. But yeah, maybe I'll put it in B tier. Um, Expeditionary Forces. I think this gets C tier. I think I own it. I haven't played it yet. I like the idea, but definitely people have complained about it. I think C tier is fair. If I were to play it and maybe love or hate some of the content, I might change this. But I think for now that's fair. And I think overall that's my list. I think if I were to adjust stuff, I think D tanks should definitely be in C. I think B is going to be more of I think this stuff is fair. Apex may no, I think Apex there is fair. Tack Ops, I'm gonna put that as B. That's a personal favorite. Um, all this stuff. I think this is fair. I mean, let me know what you think of how my list went. I think this is a fair sorting. I definitely think these three are really the super titans of Arma 3. Like these are the best, some of the best DLC period of any game ever. I think. Truly great. Probably like if these were standalone games. Like if Laws of War was just a standalone game, you just launch it and just play the Laws of War campaign. I would pay like $30 for that. Like just really good. Um, Maybe if it was a bit longer, to be fair. But overall, like for DLC packages, really really great. And apart from SOG Prairie Fire, like these two didn't add the most like as far as content to the game, as far as like what you could use in multiplayer. It's like some of it, like the IDAP stuff, arguably you can get a lot of use out of in just ambient mission stuff. But SOG Prairie Fire, like on top of having decent playable content, also has an insane amount um of just stuff you can use in your missions, multiplayer, all that stuff. So honestly, SOG Prairie Fire may be the objective king of the Arma 3 DLC like pack. Um, but personally, I have used it a lot, but these Contact and Laws of War have my devoted love. Uh, yeah, they're just great. I love they probably are what made me love Arma 3 as much as I do, honestly. So I think that's about my list. Let me know what you think. I don't even think I can trim down this video very much because I was basically talking the whole time, and I don't know how I could fit in like footage of these things, but it's probably just gonna be me talking over this list the whole time. So, anyways, let me know what you think, and yeah, see ya.